Onto this story now. The second wave of the pandemic has hit South Africa, and there's a lot of speculation about the kind of restrictions that will be imposed by the government on various industries to contain the spread of COVID-19 during the festive season. But what could these potential restrictions mean for the ailing economy? And joining me now to discuss this is Tshifhiwa Tshivhengwa, who's the CEO of the Tourism Business Council of South Africa. Tshifhiwa, as always, many thanks for your time this afternoon. Now, we saw that the tourism industry was the hardest hit when the initial hard lockdown was initiated. Now we've got a second wave, and while we might not see a hard lockdown, surely there are consultations with bodies like yourself, with government, in terms of how do we create the best way to contain COVID-19 without shutting down industries this time around.
No, thank you for having me. Indeed, there are consultations that have been happening for the past 3 days. Of course, the concern is the fact that we have a resurgence, and we have seen yesterday with the cases of COVID reaching 6,000, which means that there are more people around the country who have COVID-19. Now, from our side, one of the things that we have done is to ensure that we implement a zero tolerance across the value chain of tourism, to ensure that anyone who visits our establishments or our attractions or anywhere where we do tourism must understand that they won't be allowed to go in there if they are not wearing their masks, if they are not going to be doing social distancing, and also if they are not sanitizing. So, those three basic things are going to be applied across the board without any compromise to make sure that we mitigate the spread of this virus. So for us, yes, of course, there are concerns. We do hope that, when government makes decisions, the outcome of the decisions are that, that supports the growth of the industry or the recovery of the industry, and they ensure that we continue to trade and preserve the jobs that we have. Any other decision outside of that will be detrimental to the industry and may decimate what's left of the industry.
Yeah, and I'm glad you bring up the issues of the jobs and people being able to operate, because I'm wondering, within these consultations, how do you reach a compromise with government to say if they want to cut operating times or the sale of liquor and other things during this period, where do you meet each other halfway?
I mean, look, if there are specific problems that are at a specific location, we have to deal with those specific problems at that particular location. Of course, we're not saying that, there aren't places where there are problems. There are places where there are problems. We just need to localize the solution to that particular problem. So we have to meet each other halfway to protect the livelihoods, as I've said, in terms of jobs and protecting the businesses and so forth and so on, and also making sure that, there isn't spread of the virus. But one of the most important things that this is in our hands as South Africans. If we don't comply with the COVID protocols, and I'm talking about the general COVID protocols, this is what tends to happen. And we know what led to the situation that we're in at the moment. And I think that we all have to take individual responsibilities to ensure that we protect each other's jobs, and we protect those that can't protect themselves from this COVID-19. So when we make decisions, we have to meet each other halfway. We have to make sure that we're solving problems where they exist. And the places where there aren't problems, we have to make sure that, those places are protected as well. But it's a tough decision to make.
That's right. And I mean, we don't know what's going to come out of a government in the coming days in terms of communication. But there are people who are talking about the fact that they booked holidays to the coast for the festive season, and they are worried, should they be cancelling? What engagements are you having with your members when it comes to what they should be expecting in terms of movements that are going to be allowed?
Look, we're not expecting government to cancel holiday in terms of people traveling around. I think that government has listened to us. They do understand that the industry, pre-COVID, we were supporting about 1.5 million jobs. They do understand that this is one of the biggest employers in the country. So I don't think that, government is going to say no one should be going to holiday. There may be few compromises here and there to control crowds at various places, to make sure that there isn't mixing and mingling of people. That we can discuss, and it's something that I believe that all of us can live with, because we're all invested in making sure that COVID is prevented from spreading. So I don't think that anyone should be panicking. People should be going on their holidays. We are, as an industry, prepared. We've had our meeting today, and one thing that everyone should know is that it's going to be zero tolerance. Everyone must comply with the protocols that we put in. All the properties will be complying with protocols, and we won't allow anyone to be mixing and mingling unnecessarily, at this time. So feel free to go on holiday, provided you do so safely. Provided if you're driving, you drive safe, you don't drink and drive, and wherever you stop, you sanitize, and you make sure that you wear your mask, you social distance. You should be fine, you should be safe, you should be able to go on holiday. And we're encouraging everyone to do so to support the recovery of the industry.
Tshifhiwa, as always, many thanks for your time. That's Tshifhiwa Tshivhengwa, who's the CEO of the Tourism Business Council of South Africa. Hi.